Donovan Clingan makes the all-rookie team. The Blazers are up for sale, but nothing's moved on that front. And it's time to dive deep into mock draft territory. All that and more on the Blazer Focus podcast. I am Aaron Fentress. He is Craig Birnbach. Craig, you know, it's been a rough couple weeks for the Blazers in terms of the lottery didn't go so well. Now the teams are for sale, which is good news and bad news because it can be kind of, disjointing, but it could lead to something great. Who knows? And then Phil Knight says he's not interested in buying the team.
Boo.
But then the Blazers got some good news. Donovan Clingan, we're going to start there. Second team, all rookie. I voted him second team, so give me all the credit because it wasn't for my votes. No, I'm kidding. First player from the Blazers to be on the all rookie team since 2013. Bro,
Not good.
That's 12 years ago. Now, to be fair, when they got Dame, they began making the playoffs. So they were a playoff team for 8 straight years. So they didn't draft very high into the draft. They had the 10th pick with Zach when they traded up. CJ was a 10th pick, but of course he took time to develop. So he kind of got to give him a little bit of break. But Shaden didn't make it. Scoot didn't make it. Now Clingan does. Big deal, little deal, medium deal.
Medium deal.
Oh, come on. See, why you gotta be so negative on this fine, beautiful Wednesday afternoon?
Look, first of all, he didn't make the first team. Second of all, there's people on this team, on the second team, that would not usually make a. I mean, it wasn't a great rookie class. It was not a great rookie class. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, the rookie of the year was a guy that you knew was going to be rookie of the year, but it's not like anyone's saying, "Oh, that guy's going to be a all NBA," next year. People are talking about the same team drafted someone at the same position. So that, but yeah, good for him. He got the playing time. He did not, and he lived up to the expectations if you set reasonable expectations for him. And look, he got more playing time than we expected based on injuries. And he did not embarrass himself, and he got better as the year went on, in my opinion. Look, we're doing mock draft today. This is the guy I wanted the Blazers to get last year. And they got him, and he's doing exactly what I thought he would be a pretty good defensive presence right off the bat. Offensively, be a project, but with potential. So I say good for you. You made the second team. No one would have thought he was going to make the first team, when he was drafted 7th overall as a 20-year-old project. So I say good. But I'm not going to say, these aren't real teams, Fentress. They don't actually play anybody. So, I just can't go big deal.
I think it's a big deal because, I'll say it's in between medium and big deal. Just because the first 2 cats drafted under Cronin didn't make it. But as I wrote about this when the Rookie of the Year came out, each guy has different circumstances to deal with. Like if Clingan comes into a team that needs a starting center, right, and he's the starter, then I think he has a much better chance of making the first team. But that wasn't the case. I actually, someone like Ware for Miami, I think I voted him first team ahead of Sarr, because Sarr's shooting percentages are just atrocious. So Sarr's numbers are good because he got all the unlimited shots, whereas Ware had to play a role on a postseason team and played that role very well. So sometimes the voting gets weird for me because I don't know if people are voting strictly on, volume stats as opposed to looking at shooting percentages and looking at your overall impact, whereas Ware is definitely a better defender probably right now. But anyway, that's getting too much into the weeds on this. But I just think the fact that the rest of the NBA recognized that Donovan Clingan, even though he had the backup Ayton for most of the year, they had 3 other centers under contract, that he was able to forge enough of a reputation and resume to get second team, I think shows a lot of respect for what he did as a player. So I think it's more than just a medium deal. I think it's a pretty good deal. And you're right, though. The rookie team, my boy Matas Buzelis from the Bulls, I can't believe he made it. He played like 8 minutes. he got more playing time late, but his stats do not ring out rookie, all rookie team, but there he is. Bub Carrington's the player the Blazers could have gotten had they not traded that pick to get Denny, but clearly you'd rather have Denny. But no, I like it. I think it's a positive piece of news for this franchise. I'm gonna be positive today.
I agree with that. I mean, then you'd have to have another category for All-Star and All-NBA. Like if you're going big news for second team All-Rookie, like I was thinking that you were going the whole scope of news. I don't know how you say, but fine. I mean, it is good news. And again, I think that everyone should be very happy with Clingan's rookie year, which last year you were very unhappy with Scoot's rookie year, and you were probably very unhappy with Sharp's sophomore season. So, like, to me, this is a good sign. And if you're going to talk about of the top, I mean, it's not great news that of the 3 lottery picks, he's the one that made second team all rookie. But some of that has to do with circumstances and other and the draft. I mean, when the first 2 guys in the draft ahead of you are awesome and you're not, that's not good. But yeah, good job, Clingan. I'm excited to see how his game can grow. I mean, I do think he has I think he's a really good passer for where he is in his life. You know, coming from a place where he won 2 national championships and was the 5th option on offense, and yet has shown the ability to shoot a little bit, not great, but not ridiculous. He doesn't embarrass himself from the outside, and so, you know, I think it's overall really good.
All right, moving on real quick. Let's just touch on this real quick because there's not much news to talk about before we get to breaking down the guards, which we haven't got to yet because we got derailed last week because of the news of the team being sold. And then we'll get to our draft, our early draft board 1.0. That's what I'm calling it, by the way. So the team's up for sale, as we know. I called my financial advisor to see if I could get in on this. He said I could at about a 0.000001%. So I'm in if anyone out there is looking for people to join their group. But I reported this week that the video board project that was already in play is going to continue as expected. That's not earth-shattering news at all. But all future projects will be on hold, but there weren't really any major projects in the works yet. So it's not like something that was planned is being set aside. I also posted an article on Oregon Live on the recent history of team sales in the NBA, looking at sort of, you know,
I read when that, by the way.
Did you?
It was very interesting.
I appreciate it. When the teams went on sale, when they were finally sold, sort of the timelines there. And it seems, you know, it can range anywhere from 3 months to, you know, a year and a half. It just depends. The Celtics, for example, you know, they went on sale in July of 24 and it was completed in March. And it's going to be finalized at some point by the board. The Suns, on the other hand, went up for sale in September of 21 and they were sold. Wait, hold on a second. Oh yeah, that was a Robert Sarver one. So that was different because he was forced to sell. That went up September 21. That wasn't finalized until late 22. But there's another one in here that Mark Cuban. There's also situations where, like with Mark Cuban, where it just came out of nowhere and it's someone selling a stake, not necessarily their team. That happened with the Nets as well. I think the Rockets, though, went up for sale in July of 2017 and they were sold by September of 2017. So sometimes these things can move quickly. So it's kind of all over the map, really. And then, of course, there's the Minnesota Timberwolves. That thing's crazy. That it was sold, or he put it up for sale, Glenn Taylor, 2021. It was sold later that year, but then there became a big, giant legal hassle with Alex Rodriguez's team. And it finally got ruled upon, and the sale is going through. That happened in April. So that ended up taking 4 years, but only because it got tied into a legal mess. What's fascinating is they bought it for 1.5 and the estimated value on CNBC right now is 3.25. So in 4 years, those guys will have made in value of the franchise 1.5 billion, which is crazy, or 1.75. Anyway, that's sort of the interesting situation. So we probably have some time, right? This probably isn't going to be something that's going to be rushed.
They straight up said it was going to go into the season.
So, but it's like, what does that mean? Does that mean into the preseason? Does that mean into the finals? Right? It's just you just don't know. It's a broad range of time there. So I think the point here is that kick back, relax. It'll happen when it happens, but it could take longer. So anyway, just throw that out there. And anything you want to add to any of that?
Yeah, I mean, you talked about there being some angst, but like this was inevitable. And when Paul Allen died, and it's been many years, so I think every Blazers fan should just be happy that it's happening, and because it was going to happen at some point. So you got to get through this, and there's potential for a great owner and one that wants to do more than just own the team, but wants to revitalize the Rose Quarter and obviously update the arena, if not get a brand new arena. The unknown is always scary. So, but living in the in-between as a fan of a team is terrible. I mean, I'd rather hate my owner than not have one, right. In some ways. But I'm, once the name starts coming out, who wants it, it'll be interesting to kind of learn about the whys. Personally, I'm hoping for not a hedge fund type thing or an investment group. I'm hoping for a team that's led by people that are passionate about basketball and really wanting to win a championship as a sports team owner. Because the opposite is to have an ownership group that just cares about bottom line, and that is not a good, that winning doesn't always mean more money.
Sometimes it means less. For two.
Yeah. I mean, eventually you're going to make money on it when you sell it, right? So, but you might as well bring a lot of joy to a community. So that's the hope. But you'll be trying to research some billionaires in your world, and Google will be our friend.
Yeah, I'm already starting that process of putting a list together. Yeah, there's a scene in The Wire where Prop Joe tells, I think, Stringer Bell, buy for one, sell for two, in that Boston or that Baltimore sort of a dialect there. And he says that's all there need be. And that's the kind of guy you don't want. Who's going to buy the team for 3.5 and sell it for 6 down the line. You want someone who's going to come in and you want Mark Cuban. That's who you want.
Absolutely.
Bring in Mark Cuban.
Allen. It didn't work,
or another Paul Allen.
Exactly. But he wanted to win, and he wasn't buying it for profit. And everyone's making fun of the Suns owner. Look, his ownership has started off horribly, but I'd still rather have a guy that wants to win and it didn't buy it to make money. It just, you can, as a person who's rooted for a team owned by Frank Dolan, there's some things, but at least they're trying to win. You know what I mean? Like he didn't need to, the profit part of it would have been, I wish he cared about just profit because someone else would own him right now. But those are all other things. I'm just saying, like, to have right now to have no ownership. And people would say Jody Allen's not the owner. Like when people get, well, Jody Allen was passionate. I don't care. She didn't own the team. It's a trust. She's just there to hold it. And her only job was to make sure that it could sell for more money. That's what she was required to do by a trust. He didn't say in the trust make the playoffs. The trust said sell for charitable purposes, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing that Paul Allen did. So now I want someone that doesn't want to make money, that wants to win and have experience. Mark Cuban wanted that experience. He wanted to win, and he got to win a title. And one is enough, man. Let's just say that for a lifetime. Like you'd like to have more, but goodness gracious, let's get somebody that's at least trying.
At least one in this. Yeah, I hear you. Something else I wrote about this week regarding this is the situation with the arena. So one of the, concerns is, could someone come in, buy the team and want to move it? Usually when that happens, it's fan base related or it's arena related, right? And the Blazers have what's an arena, the Moda Center, that's tied for the 7th oldest in basketball. Of the other 7, all have gone through major renovations relatively recently, which points to the fact that the Blazers are in need of this. One of the things they almost all did was, redo the video boards and things like that. That's something that's not necessarily heavy lifting, right? As opposed to tearing out sections or remodeling complete sections, which some arenas have undergone. And that's already being done by the Blazers. But whomever comes in is probably going to need to do other upgrades. So that's going to be a cost for them. But history has shown that serious owners have been willing to do that. It's an investment.
They want to do that.
Yeah, it's an investment in your product. And it can be anywhere from 100 million, 200 million, 300 million. I think, didn't the Knicks spend like $1 billion?
Yeah, but I mean, he also built the Sphere.
Yeah, but so
that goes like 40 billion. Like, and again, like Madison Square Garden is a very unique situation. I mean, like you're not. The Garden moved once across the street. You're not moving Madison Square Garden, but it's gone over 1 million renovations, and there's a train station under it. Like you can't.
There's only so much you can do, but they've done things to it. And when I went there a year ago, there were clearly some spots that seemed old, but there are other spots where it looked like, they did a lot of stuff here. When Dan Gilbert bought the Cavaliers, he put a ton of money instantly into the arena, like a few $100 million, I think it was. So odds are, if you get someone who's willing to spend $3.5 billion for the team, they're probably going to be willing to put a couple $100 million into Moda. Now, if they want some public help, that's where things can get dicey, which is what happened in Seattle. Nice. But, I just kind of feel like things can be worked out in that regard because there's already money being set aside to build a baseball stadium for a baseball team that does not exist. So I can't imagine there wouldn't be some kind of wiggle room to work out something to help renovate the Moda Center, which is a huge benefit to this area, given all the different events you can hold there, especially concerts, things like that. So we'll see. But I for one, in my other conversations with people with the Blazers, no one with the Blazers will come out and say flat out, there's a 0% chance someone's going to buy this team and move it. And I don't think they necessarily can say that.
History says you best not say that.
Right, exactly. But the feeling is that there's the NBA doesn't necessarily want teams moving, especially for no real good reason. And there just isn't a real good reason to move the Blazers from
right. City. And actually, there's more reasons to keep it than ever before. With the odds are Seattle coming back, Las Vegas being out here, and the WNBA team.
Right. Exactly.
Like all the elements that would want the NBA to have a set skin in the game is saying we're not putting a team in Seattle to have the one in Portland leave. Like that's dumb. Right. Yeah. We're not going to possibly, potentially put a team in Las Vegas, which is, obviously on the left side of the country, just to see them move somewhere else. Right. So, but, owners have done crazy stuff. And the one thing the NBA has mostly done is side with owners and their wishes.
Right.
So you can't say 0%.
It's not zero. You can't say zero.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing is this. I would hope that Jody Allen would do some due diligence on her part to look for a buyer that she's 100% confident is not looking to move the team. Because I don't believe for a second that
those
Paul
are the
Allen
elements that
would want
that we
the
don't
team
know.
to be moved. Yeah. So
but I mean, he could have stipulated that, right? That had to be part of the agreement to buy when the team was sold, that it had to stay for at least this amount of time.
Right.
And we don't think that, and for all we know, it's in there, but no one said anything. Right. And to be honest, Jody Allen's main job is to sell it for the most amount of money. So if they go for an auction type deal and it goes The whole thing is, how do you vet it? But the NBA, that's where their power leaning comes in. But like you said, we can't, it's all speculation. And unfortunately, they don't poll the fan base. I mean, at least they never have. Pick your owner.
True.
If they did, we'd have a lot of different ownership around.
Right, definitely.
Except the Packers, of course. The Packers are owned by the people.
I love that. All right, so in past podcasts, we've broken down the forward position, the center position. We got put on hold for the guard position because of the news of the estate planning to sell the team. So let's dive into that. I assume you've been chomping at the bit. We say this for last for a reason, because it's the sexiest topic, the most intriguing topic, the most meat on the bone. So let's get into this. Where do you want to start?
Who do you want to start with? Who do you want to start with?
Let's start with this. Are you good with them standing pat with the guard situation going into next season and just sort of see what happens? Or do you think they need to make a dramatic move this offseason?
I don't think they need to make a dramatic move on the guard position. I think they need to but I think they have to eventually. I mean, there's no way you can't have what you have. You can't have, I don't think you can have Simon, Sharp, and Scoot forever. Like, it just doesn't make sense. You need one. You need a starting point guard, and you need a starting two. And you need them to, and I know what you're saying, the minutes are the minutes, but you need one of them if you're going to be a really good team. You need one of them to be a guy that doesn't, at least one, if not two, don't come off the court. I mean, because right now you don't have, Denny's the only forward/center. I guess you're going to go back to Ayton, but I'm just saying, like, you need these guys. They're top 10 picks. You want one of them to take off, or you're going to say, Ant's our guy, and one of them is gone. So, but it doesn't mean you have to do it now, but you should if it's there. And gosh knows who they're going to draft. Like, it's not like there's not a potential for them to draft a guard. Wouldn't be my preference, but looking at this draft, there's no doubt you have to take best player available where you're drafting at 11. So, right. Long term, you got 2 spots for 3 players, and you're going to put resources into that. Somebody's got to go eventually, but it doesn't have to happen this summer. But I really hope it does, But I don't know how. I do not know how it does, in the sense that I don't know how they can commit to Scoot being their point guard of the future. I just don't know how they can do that right now. So I don't see how they're going. I don't see that happening. I think you have to go into next season and have Scoot just prove something big time where you're like, okay, Ant, time to go. But I'm not going to be shocked if there's internal pressure from Ant and his team to move him. Because if I'm him, I want to be moved. I'm like, look, you drafted this guy 3rd overall. Clearly, you thought he was going to be your point guard. And I want to win. I'm getting to the age now that I'm not the young guy anymore. And if I want the next big contract, I'm going to have to play better and be on a better team.
So I think the drafted Scoot 3rd thing is dead in terms of that being influential in their decision. Because, okay, to me, the team being up for sale puts more pressure on Cronin and Billups to make a big leap next season. So, gone, I think 100% gone is development. 100%.
Wow.
You either can play or you can't. And if you can't help the team win, you're not going to play or not play as much. Because this team's about to be sold. Yep. And a new owner might already have their people lined up.
Yep.
Who's going to be their new, president of basketball operations? They might have a name. And that person might have a coach. So the only thing that's going to maybe help save Cronin and Billups is to take a big jump. If this team goes to 43 wins and reaches the postseason, a new owner might go, hey, man, we went from 21 to 36 to the great second half to 43 with these players and that this staff brought in and this coaching staff coached. Okay, let's see where things go, right? Maybe you go into the next season with them and sort of see what happens. But any sign of slippage is an excuse to blow things up in a league where you can win the title and be gone in a year, which is just hilarious to me. Okay, so if they're not going to say, well, we're going to trade Ant, who's clearly better than Scoot, and roll with Scoot and just pray to God he's ready to take another step to help us get to the playoffs. I just don't believe that's going to happen. I think they're going to say, nah, we're good. We're going to keep Ant. And if Scoot rises, then we've got two good point guards. If Scoot doesn't, thank God we kept Ant. So that's where I think this thing is going in that regard.
Yep, agreed.
And I think there's also going to be discussion of whether or not you just go ahead and extend Ant. Now, if someone's willing to give you a player that you feel might have better upside at a different position, then yeah, I think you probably consider that and then say, okay, if we upgraded this position and we move Ant, now we're rolling with Scoot, then we bring in a backup point guard who's a vet to sort of balance that out. Then yeah, maybe that could happen. But Scoot being a third pick, Shaden being the seventh, like to me, all that stuff is gone. Because if you play that game and you roll the dice on some youngsters and you roll craps, you're out. Everyone cleaned out, gone. So that's where I'm at with this. To me, you might even look at just extending Ant this summer and getting over with.
Yeah, I would. I don't know if I'd do that. Coming off the year that he just had, I don't know if I'd do that.
But he made some adjustments. The talent's still there. I think there's some adjustments to the style. I think he made them. If you went back to running the type of offense he was used to running, I think his stats go up. I think his stats got better, much better in the second half. And you don't want to.
Couldn't have been much worse. I mean, let's just be honest. It was terrible.
You're being a little bit over the top here, man, with my dude. All right, back up a little bit. Back up a little.
Let's start with him. Let's start with our grades then.
Okay, let's do it.
Because now I'm super interested in your grade for him.
A+, I feel doctorate, PhD. Is that the same thing? Go ahead.
So I'll go with him. I'm going to give him a C-.
Oh, see, okay. That's it for the Blazing Focus podcast. I will start auditioning for a new partner tomorrow. No, I'm kidding.
Look, and I'm doing that based on the fact that to me, like a B is to say you did as well as as well as we could have ever expected. And A is blowing the doors off it, right? Which is, like Denny. To me, a C is like, you were fine. I think he was below fine. I think he had a bad year. I mean, I don't think there's no way in my opinion you could say he had a good year. So to me, that's a C-. It's not terrible. It's not like he, it was horrific. He played 70 games. So he stayed, he had some, that's enough for a team that won as many games. He ended up averaging 19 points a game. Like that is not the expectation. You talked about this guy averaging 25. And I totally agree that was a real possibility with a team that he was their leading scorer at 19.3 points a game. Like that's really bad, for a team to not have a 20-point scorer in the modern NBA. He shot below his usual, both from 2 from 3. His assists were below 5, where he plays predominantly a lead guard position. He's not a good defensive player. He's not awful, but he's not good. So to me, it's a C-. And I think that there's whatever grade you give that's not a C- is wrong.
Wow. Wow.
I'm going to end strong.
That's manipulation.
Well, okay. I mean, where were you going? And my guess is you're going to say C. Because if you go C+, you should quit.
What? Man, this has just become hostile now. Wow, I thought we were boys. I'm just saying,
like, I thought we were boys. Proactive to the argument.
That's right. Okay. So, full disclosure, I am a little biased in this area because I love me some Ant. I've been promoting him since he got drafted. I do think you're being harsh, and here's why. Whew. And I'm not going A, but I'm gonna go B minus. Hello? Did you hang up? Hello?
No, hello? I'm just,
Okay, so here's why. Hold on. Here's why. So his scoring went down, but the scoring went down because he was being more reserved with going full Arsenal Ant. So it was a choice. He was trying to.
So he chose to miss more shots?
No, hold on.
Than usual?
Okay, let me get to. Okay.
All right.
I got to listen, I got a statistical breakdown right in front of me. Let me get to it. All right. Just let me present my case and then you can hammer me all you want. All right. So his shooting percentages didn't dip as much as one might think. Okay. He went down to 42.6 versus 36.3, whereas last year he was 43 and 38. So slight dip. However, his effective field goal percentage only dropped by less than 1 point, 52.3 to 52.1. So actually, 0.2. And the reason why it only dropped that low is because his mid-range shooting went way up. He went from 36.1 in the mid-range to 47. So he became a lot better at those, getting to the CJ McCollum range, getting to those middies and getting them up, finishing in the paint, doing those kind of things. All right. So that actually ended up balancing out his dip in 3-point shooting. And so the reason why his numbers went down from 22.6 to 19 was mostly because of choices, not because of ability, because he was trying to run the team with a full-on point guard mentality, as opposed to, I'm the lead guard, I'm going to be like Dame and just come down and get mine. Okay, so now the first 27 games was when it was bad. He shot 40.6 and 32, which is, obviously not good, averaging 17. But he had the injury, he had like an arm injury, didn't have the 0 points in that Clippers loss. Remember that? Yep. That's the first time he scored 0 since I think his second year or whatever. The next 29 games, 21.3 points, 44.3% shooting, and 38.6 from 3. So he got back to what he was last year after that Clippers game, because things started to click for him better. Also, that's right around the time when Chauncey made the choice to bench Sharp, not bench. I hate when people say bench when you still play. Take him out of the starting lineup and reduce Scoot's minutes a little bit, thus giving Ant more freedom and leeway. Now, to me, I know I can't see you right now because I don't have you on my screen, but I know you're just rolling your eyes and frowning. But
I'm rolling to this.
You can roll.
I'm okay.
I'm not done. I'm building
fair.
to a crescendo.
Oh.
Okay. So I learned that word from the song Smooth Criminal back in 1987. Anyway, I was looking it up in an old school dictionary. Crescendo. Oh, that's cool. Anyway, so all of that for me would put him at average, C, because there was improvement and he was adjusting. The reason why I tip him to a B minus is because let's not forget there's another side of the ball. And although Ant has a reputation of not being a plus defender, which is deservedly so, Chauncey praised his improvement in that area, and the numbers back it up. His defensive rating went from 120.5 last season to 113.4 this season, which top half of the team. So there was improvement there. So for me, the improvement on defense, coupled with the improved second half while he was adjusting to doing something different. What he said at the end of the season was, I had to go from running half-court sets designed to get me open looks, especially from 3, to running the team and being a situation where you're trying to push, and not really running those sets. And he struggled adjusting to that, but once he figured it out, his numbers popped back up, and his defense was there. So that's why I say B-. What you got?
I mean, I will say I did not. You gave data to support. You know,
I do.
Your grade, and I did not look at the defensive side. I was looking purely on offense based on the reputation of the player, which is not doing the homework the way I should have. So I will give you that. I will also say this. My grading is harsh on Anthony Simons because of my expectations for him as a player. And he's better than a 19.3 points a game player when he plays 33 minutes a game. So that's where I'm at. But I mean, that's fair. I mean, you're right. I did not look at the defensive side of the ball and the improvement there, and was grading strictly on what I think he is, which is a lead guard who can score.
Right.
You know, I don't like saying point guard for him because it's unfair to him. I mean, they never really made him be a point guard, you know, and but as a lead guard, 4.8 assists is not, if you only got 4.8 assists, then you got to score more and you got to shoot more effectively. So, and let me just say, in the modern NBA, I'm not impressed with mid-range unless you're SGA. You know, I mean, like, you know, in that sense, it's not the most efficient way to do it.
Well, but 47% though.
47 is good. It's just not what I think about Anthony Simons. I will say you did your homework. You showed up with things that I had not looked at that made your point. So well done.
Okay,
well
so
done.
You don't fully agree, but at least you're not going to trash me.
I'm not trashing you. I feel that you made a good point.
Mission accomplished. I appreciate it.
No, you did it.
Thank you.
All right, who wants to, where are we going next? We going Scoot or Shaden? Because they're the only guards that matter.
Let's go Shaden.
Shaden is, go ahead. You go first.
I'll go first.
You go. I want
so Shaden, actually you go first while I look up his page for me.
All right, so Shaden to me was the hardest one for me to figure out how to grade. Because if you just looked at his raw numbers, you know, and you saw 18.5 points a game in 31 minutes, he averaged 4.5 rebounds, which is not, I mean, that's not terrible for a two guard. The assists are not great at 2.8, but no one's expecting him to make plays. Like, I feel like that's a B. You know what I mean? Like, but when you look at the shooting percentages and you look at what he's doing from three, and you just can't get there. Like, he just can't get where you need him to be efficiently. I'm going to give Shaden a C+, because it wasn't terrible, you know, but it doesn't make me, and I still have hope that he could be a really good player and possibly, you know, right under an all-star or more. So I go C+. And I also think he really did handle what were getting dropped out of the starting lineup. That is hard for a player who's picked where he was picked and already put in the starting lineup, and who had last been on a competitive team at AAU where he was starting a lot. You know, like, that's tough. And he got told harsh things by a coaching staff, and he did not. And he worked at it, and he tried. I have not seen the killer instinct in him that you really need from that position with his skills. And his athleticism is still off the charts. I mean, just off the charts. He can do everything. He just can't shoot consistently enough, and that killer instinct's not there yet. So C+, B-. You know, I'm not trying to hedge, but I mean, that's just where I'm at.
Yeah, I'm going C+. I gotta put him below Ant. I'm tempted B-, but I'm gonna go C+. With the mindset that, okay, it's not bad because he's still so inexperienced. only playing 32 games the year before, not playing in college like you said, and then having to, getting benched like he did for not playing on defense was just like, come on, dude. You need to embrace that side of the ball because you're not good enough offensively to. No one should ignore playing defense, but if you're going to ignore playing defense, you better be elite on offense.
You better be Carmelo Anthony. Be Carmelo Anthony.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So now, he averaged 18, 4.5, and 3 pretty much. He remained healthy, played 72 games, 52 starts. He improved his field goal percentage, actually, to 45% from 40. And his true shooting jumped to 55 from 52. But his three-point shooting went down, dipped to 31.1 from 33.3. And that's the area you want to see grow up, not decline. And plus,
yeah, because that for him to be special, he's got to shoot.
He's got to
shoot 35%. At least,
yeah. Now, part of that, and if you give a kid who isn't a great three-point shooter the green light to take whatever three you want, he's going to take some bad threes.
And he took a lot of bad threes.
You give a 21-year-old, I commented on this numerous times. I would roll my eyes numerous times during the season when he'd come down and shoot a 36-footer. What are you doing?
And when they're on a run, like they just scored 6 straight. You're like, dude.
It's like, dude, you're not Steph Curry.
You're not on a heater.
No.
Just go.
That's a Steph Curry shot, a Dame shot. That's not. But Chauncey let him do it because he wants him to be aggressive. He wants him to learn because it's part of what we talked about, right? Development. I guarantee you. I'm guaranteeing it right now.
There it is.
Will not be allowed next season. He will not be allowed to shoot threes at will because those are losing plays. When a guy who shoots 31% on threes is shooting deep threes early in the shot clock, that's a bad play. So I think just if we took away the bad threes, like if he, I think his percentage goes up to 35, 36, probably.
It should.
So,
it better.
Right? So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt there. That number is probably going to go up just because A, I think he's going to work on it, and B, I think there's going to be more of no, that's a bad shot, Shaden. Take it to the rack or give it up. So I'm giving the benefit of the doubt there. The defense thing bothers me, and that's why I keep him in the C range because that's just unacceptable. But he did have a run late in the season, where he was killing it. And his defensive rating did improve. And I have to say this about the Ants was a huge jump from 120 to 113. Shaden's went from 116 to 1. Oh, sorry, it got worse. Sorry, 116 to 114.4 last year. Everyone's defensive rating was pretty poor last year, but he's one of the very few players on the team whose defensive rating went up this season.
Right, when the defense improved as a team.
Yeah, exactly. The whole defense improved, but good. Right, exactly. So that's not great. But I'm gonna keep him in that C range and try and be nice here because I think he's still so talented and he did a lot of nice things. He just wasn't very efficient. But the talent
he didn't make the jump. He just kept us thinking he could still make the jump, and that's why you go C+. To me, C- or would be like he's going the wrong way. To me, he didn't. He's not going up.
He treaded water.
Right, he tread water. That's a perfect term. And so that takes us to Scoot.
I'm gonna say C+ though. What'd you say? You said the same thing, right?
I thought you already said C+. I said tread and water was perfect, and that takes us to Scoot.
Okay.
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
So I give Scoot a B-.
Hater. Just kidding.
I don't think that's a hater. I think his improvement, when I hear national guys talk about how he took a jump, I'm like, where are you getting this from?
It's from that 6-week stretch. It's that 6-week stretch. Everyone thinks the season was 6 weeks long.
I was like, his numbers are like identical and some worse, but the numbers that are worse to me is because he played less, at times. He played 26.7 minutes a game. He played 66 games. He still, unfortunately had the, head injury and some knocks, but to me, he did show signs in competitive games where he was one of the best players on the court, which last year I did not see that. I was like, that guy was never the best guy on the court. He had a few games, some they lost, against the Knicks. Knicks, he was the best player in the second half on the court. That was one of the days where he couldn't miss a three. His shot looks better. The numbers aren't overwhelming. Like, you can't say, oh, look at this huge jump statistically, but it looks better. And there were times where I said, oh, that's an above average starting point guard in the NBA if that's his consistent play. I'm still petrified and that he's not, that's not going to be what he is. But it was better than last year.
Say it again. What's he not going to be?
That he's not going to be, an above average point guard, starting point guard in the NBA.
I didn't say that yet. You're giving up on it?
No, I'm not. I said I'm petrified that's still an option. Like, I'm not
Gotcha. He hasn't cleared that hurdle. Yeah, okay.
No,
gotcha.
I'm not like, he's definitely like,
right.
But there were the moments where I saw it, where I did not. Last year was crazy. Like, we just didn't see it. And there were times where you saw the athleticism this year on a more consistent basis. He did this one thing that's not, that I saw that's a big deal. He cuffed the ball on drives consistently during that stretch and got fouled a lot during that time, or went strong to the rim. He had some dunks that were nice. He had a lot of drives that were great. So, I go B- because I saw something, but you can't, data means something, and you can't ignore the fact that there's no huge jumps in this data. Like, it's just not there. If you take out, and especially if you took out that one run where he shot ridiculously high from three, it just shows that the rest of the season he was shooting really poorly in the beginning of the year, and he finished up not great. But at least there's still hope. If I were to rate which player I thought had a better chance of being an all-star, right, which is the ultimate, I'm still leaning toward Shaedon. But that's not a huge endorsement, to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a B-. And I really hope that it'll turn to a B+, A- next year or more.
Gotcha. So at this point with Scoot, I feel pretty comfortable that his floor is he'd be an average point guard. Like, I think he's not going to be a bust. He's not going to be bad. I think he's going to be a legitimate NBA point guard. He's still so young.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like this guy's 25, 26. He's just turned 21. So there's still so much room for growth. And he didn't take a huge leap, but he took a jump. The 3-point shooting went up to 35 for the season, which was much better than his first year. And he did have that 6-week run. It wasn't a 6-day run or a 6-game run.
Nope.
It was a run. Like we went off. So was that a fluke? I mean, people get hot. Sometimes you see in baseball where a guy bats 365 one month and the next month he bats 222. But if the other months he's 300, then you're cool with that. And so he needs to get to a situation where his lows just aren't so damn low. So for example, he begins the season through January 11th. So the first half of the season, basically 39.9% from the field, 29.9% on threes. And you and I were talking about it all the time, like, oh my God, this is not good. This is not good. And then all of a sudden with that 39-point game against Brooklyn, he blows up. And these numbers are just crazy. Listen to this. And this was a long period. This is from January 14th until 20 games. This 20-game run. He shot 47.7 from the field and 44.5% on threes. And he was taking a good number, 4, 5, or 6 a night. That's Scoot Curry territory, averaging 15.5, and his turnovers even dropped just slightly. It's still 2.5, not great. But his assists went up a little bit to 5.5. So that was crazy because he was, unlike Sharp, he was taking good threes. Where Sharp would take any three, Scoot was pretty much limiting himself to good threes. Then all of a sudden, the last 15 games before he got the concussion, he drops to 38.2 from the field, 30 from three. His turnovers went up just slightly. So it was bizarre what happened there. So my thing is, okay, was this just a situation where he finally figured some things out, but then he had a regression, but he can he showed enough promise to where he can probably get back to not 45%. If the guy's shooting 45% from three, he's Hall of Fame, right? He's Hall of Fame.
Right. I was going to say, let's get the plaque ready, baby.
Right, exactly. But he finished at 35. Now, if he can just balance that out and show a little bit more consistency, all of a sudden, boom, you're 38. You're 38 like that. So I feel like he showed signs that is there. If that's there, at the worst, given his ability to get to the rim, that which he improved greatly on his ability to finish, the variety of shots finishing, right?
Getting
fouled. He's so strong. You can't, it's just like in football where you can't arm tackle certain guys. You can't arm guard him, right? You can't stick your arm out like you're trying to bump him. He's going to run right through your arm and get to the basket, right? So his ability to do that, and then the fact that he has a point guard's mentality where he wants to get assists, he wants to be that guy. I just don't believe he's not going to at least be average, and that's like the bare minimum. I think at the very least he's going to be above average. I'm not going to go very good yet, but I think he's going to be above average. The problem is he wasn't drafted to be above average or good. He was drafted to be elite. He's got a long way to go there. But after all of that, I'm going to give my man a B-.
That's awesome. No, I think, that one, I agree. I agree with everything you said there.
Okay, let's do it over because I can't have that.
No, I think I think we're real close. The Anthony one's about expectations, but are there any other guards that we even need to discuss?
Okay, so Matisse.
I mean,
let's talk.
I guess. He played 15 games
But let's address what he could bring next year because.
But that's not what we're doing. Okay, we could talk about it, but we can't grade him.
No, we're not grading him. My grade for him is an A. With.
I mean, he played 15 games to me. See, I won't even give him. I'm giving him an incomplete. Like that's crazy.
Your face was amazing.
I mean, you're giving a guy an A that played 15 games.
It's an A with an asterisk. Okay, like
a huge, like 3 asterisks.
But it's not an A that puts him above Ant and Sharp and Scoot A. It's an A in terms of what he brought to the table in the limited time. For that limited time, what he brought to the table was A plus stuff.
Well, then I'll say this: Matisse Thybulle is going to get an A for the rest of his career because that's what he does.
Well, if he comes back next season and gives you that, he shot 40. I think he shot 40% from three.
He did shoot. He shot really, really well.
So if he's out there being disruptive,
again, he played.
If you bring him off the
minutes
bench,
a game in 15 games,
it's like I said, it's not like I don't put him above those. His grade's higher, but it's not above those guys. It's a different category, like subset. So, but I'm just saying,
I'll give it an incomplete because he just didn't play.
That's fine. But if he comes back next year and gives you that, that's huge for winning, man.
He is the epitome of a role player. You know what I mean? Like who plays his role, like and brings a lot to the team with leadership. So yeah, but I also think Matisse Thybulle could be a trade piece to get you something valuable because of that. Because he's the kind of thing that could be a final piece to a championship team. And he's not going to be a final piece to this championship team right now. So
he could be a final piece to being a postseason team though.
He could, but I mean, where's I'm just saying the value of where you put this value on him. You could move him.
But are you trading him for picks that may not help you? Like I think Cronin needs to go all in next season, like his career depends on it.
I don't disagree, but I would trade him for a first-round draft pick in a heartbeat.
Okay.
Just because of what we've seen, how hard it is to get first-round draft picks now after the Knicks gave all of them away in one trade.
Okay.
Go New York, go New York, go. We couldn't. We're almost done here. Because we're not going to get to the mock draft. We're not going to talk about draft picks. We went so long. But so I have to get that in before we leave. We got to get that in.
Next year.
Go New York, go New York, go.
Delano real quick. Yes, Delano coming back?
I mean, sure. I mean, if you want him to. I mean, like, Delano, look, that guy does what he does, man. He's going to shoot. He's going to shoot. He's going to shoot. And he's going to go to the rim. He's going to score. If you play that guy in any basketball game, 25 minutes, he's going to get you double figures in scoring. You might lose by 30, but he's going to get you double figures. The guy can score points on when he plays. He doesn't do enough of the other things for him to play. But he's a fine guy that you hope is on your bench and you only need. He could take another step. I mean, he's not. He can score, man. I give him a B. He does what he does. You know what I mean? Like, good for him. Like, when you put him in the game, he is going to he's going to score. He might go 7 for 23, but he's going to take his shots. So, but no, I don't care. I mean, like, he's not a building block piece for this team. He's, but he's a really, really good offensive basketball player.
Absolutely. All right, so we gotta come back quick. We gotta come back another day and do the mock draft stuff. Sorry, we went too long, but
maybe do all this research.
We have we have plenty of time to get to that, of course, and that'll be the lead topic on the next episode of the Blazer Focus podcast. Take care.